Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Thank you about giving me that little bit of breather last week. I really appreciate it and you guys were really supportive. Today we will be looking at Anne of Cleves. She was the fourth wife of King Henry VIII and often regarded as the ugly queen. But before we get into the video, make sure that you're subscribed if you haven't already, and if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like. Just a little bit of a disclaimer before we get into it. I will try and use the same name. However, I did notice while writing this that I was flipping quite a lot between the Anglican names, like Anne, and their Germanic names, like Anna. So there'll be Anne, Anna, Johann, John. I've gone through the script and I've tried to keep it all Germanic, but if it does slip through, that'll be why. Anne, or Anna of Cleves, was born on the 28th of June 1515 to Maria and Duke Johann III of Cleves. She was their second daughter and child. Anne had one older sibling, Sybil or Sibylla, and Anne was named after her paternal aunt Anna, the only legitimate daughter of Duke Johann II. Anne's place of birth is disputed, but it is most likely that she was born in Dusseldorf. Anna and her sisters held the title of born Duchesses of Jülich-Klevesberg. In the Holy Roman Empire, which comprises of present-day parts of Germany, inheritance laws barred women from inheriting. In the absence of a male heir, the husband of the born duchess was entitled to rule the territory, Jur Uxoris. Now I just want to say with that last word before anyone comes at me with the pronunciation, I even googled that. Normally I just give a punt. I actually googled it and I still don't know how to say it because it was all done by robots. So if it's wrong, don't blame me. I did try to educate myself, okay? But basically what that means is the right of wife. And as we'll see, Anna's mother, Maria of Jülichberg, exemplifies this scenario. Maria, her father's sole legitimate offspring, had no brother to inherit. Maria's half-brother, Johann of Jülich, was illegitimate. In 1509, Maria married Johann of Clevesmark, and following her father's death in 1511, Johann assumed the title of the Duke of Jülichberg by right of wife. Anna was joined by a younger brother, Wilhelm, in 1516, and a final sibling and sister, Amalia, or Amelia, in 1517. It is likely that both of these younger siblings were born at the Swan Castle, but the traditional place of birth given for these two is often Dusseldorf. Anna, along with her sisters Sibylla and Amalia, received their upbringing within the Frauenzimmer, also known as the women's chamber at court. This enclave mirrored the main court, but strictly prohibited males over the age of 12, except for doctors, and entirely excluded males during the nighttime. The Frauenzimmer inhabitants comprised the principal noblewoman, so Maria, her female relatives and daughters, attendants, a governess, and wards. This institution was prevalent across Germany and even extended towards parts of Poland. Within the Frauenzimmer, young noblewomen received education on household management. Anna, for instance, acquired skills such as mending clothes, weaving, embroidering, and cooking, essential for overseeing a household. The Frauenzimmer enforced rules of conduct concerning interactions with men at court, including permissible court dance styles, appropriate moments for engaging with men, and expected moral comportment. Additionally, a hierarchical seating arrangement and dining protocol were adhered to during mealtimes. Rather frustratingly, more is documented about what Anna was not educated in rather than what she was taught, under the guidance of her deeply devout mother, Duchess Maria. Anne's education encompassed traditional skills befitting of high-born ladies, household management like I've already discussed, culinary arts, estate management, and literacy in their native tongue. However, Duchess Maria did not endorse the courtly education typical of princesses elsewhere in Europe, which included proficiency in foreign languages, music, dance, and courtly pastimes like card games, dice, and poetry. In Germany, it was deemed inappropriate for noblewomen to personally engage in musical performances. Anna probably acquired fundamental accounting abilities essential for maintaining precise records and managing a noble household effectively. As members of the Frauenzimmer, Anna and her sisters likely participated in hunting activities. Their upbringing, like their education, was supervised by their mother, who would have instilled in them the Catholic faith. And yes, I said Catholic faith. That was not a mistake. It wasn't until Anne's father invited the scholar Erasmus to live at court did the Protestant faith spread in Cleves. This may explain why Anna is so easily converted back to Catholicism under the reign of her stepdaughter Mary, or due to Mary's influence. Duke Johann, Anna of Cleves' father, displayed a higher level of tolerance towards religious diversity compared to many of his contemporaries. Although he adhered to Catholicism himself, he demonstrated openness to the increasing presence of Lutheranism within and around his duchies, and he was influenced by Erasmus. In 1533, Duke Johann sought advice from Erasmus regarding the establishment of church regulations, having rejected the authority of the Pope. He arranged a marriage for his eldest daughter, Sibylla, with Lutheran Johann Frederick of Saxony, who later spearheaded the Schmalkaldic League, a coalition of German states embracing the Lutheran confession of Augsburg. Consequently, Anna and her siblings were raised as Catholics, but they were also exposed to Lutheranism. 1527 saw the wedding of Anna's older sibling, Sibylla, to Johann Frederick I, the Elector of Saxony. With the eldest Cleves daughter married off, the focus now moved to Anna, who was now 12. She found herself betrothed to the 8-year-old Francis, the son of the Duke of Lorraine, who also happened to be the brother of Marie de Guise. Nothing would come of this match, mainly because Francis was not of age for the marriage to be legal. A dispensation was given to allow both parties to marry. Another marriage for Anna would be discussed at this time. It will be a double match. Her brother Wilhelm would marry the Lady Mary of England, and Anna to the king himself, King Henry VIII. However, this was discussed and then partially abandoned. After the death of his third wife and queen, Jane Seymour, several women, including Christina of Denmark and Marie of Guise, were approached to be wife number 4. However, they rejected the king's advances, so much so that Marie went and hastily got married to Henry's nephew, James V of Scotland, just to get out of it. Okay, well, I'm sure that's not the only reason, but pretty much. Tensions with France and Spain meant that Henry ideally needed a foreign match, so he had some sort of support against his Catholic allies. Duke Johann of Cleves had traditionally been Catholic. However, in 1533, he had famously rejected the authority of the Pope and was now more Lutheran. He also had 2 unmarried daughters, which was just what Henry needed. In March 1539, King Henry VIII sent an embassy to Cleves to talk marriage terms between the king and either Anna or Amalia. The English ambassadors were well received in Dusseldorf. However, they were not received by Duke Johann. They were instead received by his son Wilhelm, as his father had died the month before. Christopher Mont, one of the ambassadors who was sent to Cleves, reported on the 18th of March 1539 that Anna was so beautiful that she outshone her sister Sibylla, Electress of Saxony, as the golden sun excelleth the silver moon, and that her honesty and modesty appear plainly in the gravity of her face, a far contrast from the description that another ambassador gave when the double marriage was on the cards, that there was no great praise of either Anna's personage or her beauty.
The cheek, the nerve, the gall, the audacity and the gumption.
Either way, the ladies Anna and Amalia were presented in conservative German fashion. They wore a habit that meant the ambassadors could hardly see their faces, and their clothing hid their figures. So Christopher Mont was either genuinely impressed with Anna, or he was being paid off by Thomas Cromwell to promote the alliance with Cleves. It would be because of Mont's account that Henry would send off his favourite painter, Hans Holbein, to paint the sisters.
Welcome to the house! To the house of Holbein! Yeah! The house of Holbein!
Only thing is, Wilhelm was not so keen on Holbein painting the portraits. No. He wanted his painter, Lucas Cranach, to paint the portraits. Wilhelm even expressed his concern about marrying one of his sisters to the infamous King of England. He claimed he was too poor to pay a dowry and expressed his concerns over the fate of Henry's previous wives. He felt that any woman marrying him would face uncertainty and sorrow. I mean, he's not wrong. And also, rather ironically, Mr. Too Poor to Pay a Dowry Wilhelm would be known as Wilhelm the Rich. Henry and Cromwell were informed of Wilhelm's objections to Holbein painting his sisters, so Henry decided he would have the Lady Anna's portrait painted, as it was rumoured that she was more beautiful than her sister Amalia, and if he liked Holbein's portrait, then he would take Anna to be his wife, without a dowry. This was a very good offer, one that Wilhelm could not refuse. Dr. Wotton, one of Henry's envoys, said that he thought Holbein's painting was quite lifelike. Anna had a sweet and gentle demeanour, and her mother, Duchess Maria, adored her so much she hated to see her go. Anna was skilled with a needle, could read and write in her own language, and was pretty intelligent. But she couldn't converse in Henry in a common language, nor could she sing or play any instruments. Nicholas Wotton thought that Anna could pick up English quite fast. She only knew High Dutch, a language, as mentioned earlier, Henry didn't understand, and she came from a place where they didn't value music, something that Henry loved. It seems she wasn't familiar with dancing or fashion either. The marriage treaty was signed by the Duke of Cleves on the 4th of September 1539, and it was concluded at Hampton Court Palace on the 4th of October. The Lady Mary was concerned that her father was marrying a Lutheran heretic. Ironically, Anna and Mary would go on to be good friends with less than a year between them in age, and it would be Mary's influence that would cause Anna to convert back to Catholicism. Anna of Cleves reached Calais on the 11th of December 1539. She was greeted at Calais by the Seymour brothers, Edward and Thomas, the brothers of the late Queen Jane. Thomas Cromwell's son, Gregory, was also present. His ties lie with his father, who orchestrated this match, and his wife Elizabeth was the sister to the former Queen and the Seymour brothers. The King's lieutenant in Calais was Arthur Viscount Lisle, his half-uncle. His wife, Lady Lisle, wrote to her daughter Anne Bassett. Anne had previously served Jane and had now managed to grab a spot in the new Queen's household. Her mother, Lady Lisle, wrote to her telling her that she thought the new Queen was gracious, willing to be pleased by everything done for her, and was likely to be an easy mistress. Anna stayed in Calais longer than originally planned due to bad weather. Anna remained at Calais until Christmas Day, and while there, she struck up with a friendship with the Earl of Southampton, who taught her how to play one of King Henry VIII's favourite pastimes, cards. One evening, she invited some gents including Southampton, to supper. Southampton was cautious, as this was not the done thing for a betrothed woman to do, and he was worried about what the king might say. But Southampton was also too embarrassed to refuse Anna's invitation. All in all, it must have been a good time, as Southampton wrote that he found Anna's manner, usage, and semblance was such as none might be more commendable, nor more like a princess. Anna left Calais on Boxing Day and arrived in England on the 27th of December. Her next place of stay was Bishop's Palace, where she stayed during the New Year celebrations. Bishop's Palace was the home of Sir Anthony Browne. His wife, Lady Browne, was to supervise the Queen's new maids of honour, and when she was presented to Anna, she was not impressed with the new Queen. She wrote to her husband and told him that she thought Anna had a dreadful dress sense. It would also be here at Bishop's Palace that Anna, unknowingly, would meet her husband for the first time. It was chivalric tradition that you would meet your betrothed in disguise to symbolise that the match would be one of true love, as the idea is that the bride-to-be would recognise her true love through the disguise. A game that Henry played with his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. However, Anna was not Catherine. While standing at a window watching some bull baiting, 3 men in hoods leapt into the room laughing. One of the men offered her a gift from the king. A rather confused Anna, who, remember, could really only converse in High Dutch, took the gift and returned to the window. The stranger spoke. Anna muttered something in her native tongue and turned away again. The hooded stranger was becoming increasingly frustrated. He soon left, I can only imagine in a huff, and when he returned, he was wearing a purple robe. It was at this point that Anna realised her faux pas, and that the weird stranger was her ageing husband. She gave a weak smile, but the damage was already done. Upon their first awkward encounter, Henry and Anna spent the afternoon together at Bishop's Palace, and they talked via an interpreter. The king welcomed Anna to England and initially showed no dislike. And yet, he was unhappy with his wife. Was it because he had to tirelessly talk to her through a translator? I mean, he pretty much executed his second wife because she talked too much. Was it the fact that she embarrassed him in his chivalric game in front of his friends and not provided the smothering of kisses as Catherine once had? Or did he genuinely find her unattractive? I don't know, but their pleasant afternoon turned to Henry complaining about his new wife. He felt that Anna looked different from her portraits. He had brought her a present of furs, but he was in such an agitated state that he never gave them to Anna. The king excused himself, and Sir Anthony Browne caught him in the corridor. The king furiously remarked, "I see nothing in this woman as men report of her, and I marvel that wise men would make such report as they have done." He then continued, "Whom shall men trust? I promise you I see no such thing as hath been shown me of her, by pictures and report. I am ashamed that men have praised her as they have done, and I love her not." Rather ironically, Henry had written in his book Defence of the Seven Sacraments against Martin Luther, that was written years prior, that the fate of princes to be in marriage of far worse sort than the condition of poor men. Princes take as is brought by others, and poor men be commonly at their own choice. When he had written this, he was married to Catherine of Aragon, most likely a love match, but definitely a queen he had chosen. His next 2 queens had been love matches, but now for the first time, he was experiencing the painful reality of his own words. So who was to blame? Arguably Holbein, as he had essentially airbrushed Anna. But Holbein was an artist, and Henry could understand his artistic viewpoint. So that just leaves Thomas Cromwell, the man who suggested this marriage, the man who arranged the marriage. and had Anna's charms and beauty exaggerated. Henry confronted Cromwell, accusing him of deception in front of the Privy Council. Shocked, Cromwell attempted to deflect blame, but Henry remained resolute. Cromwell argued for the necessity of an alliance for England, emphasising that alienating the Germans would leave Henry isolated against the French and the Spanish. He insisted that Anna herself had committed no wrongdoing, and it would be dishonourable for the king to reject her at this stage. Sending her back disgraced would ruin her chances of marriage and would lead to retaliation from her brother. Henry was urged to marry Anna of Cleves and make the most of the situation. Enraged, Henry stormed out of the council chamber. Much to the king's displeasure, the wedding did go ahead, and the pair wed on the 6th of January 1540 at Greenwich Palace. Henry wore a gown of cloth of gold, embroidered with great flowers of silver and banded with black fur, a coat of crimson satin slashed and embroidered, and fastened with huge diamonds, and a rich collar of gold around his neck. Anna wore a gown of cloth of gold, embroidered with large flowers of great orient pearls. It was cut in the Dutch fashion, having a round skirt without a train. Her long hair hung loose to showcase her virginity, and she wore a coronet of gold set with precious stones. She also wore an expensive necklace with a matching belt around her waist. Her wedding ring was inscribed with her personal motto, "God send me and keep me well." Walking between the Count of Overstein and the Grand Master of Cleves, Anna maintained a composed demeanour, her expression both demure and serious. Accompanied by the lords, she entered the king's chamber, traversed through, and arrived in the gallery where Henry awaited her. There she performed 3 deep obeisances before they proceeded to the Chapel Royal for their marriage ceremony, officiated by Cranmer. Anna was escorted by the Count of Overstein. Following the mass, the bridal party enjoyed spiced wine. Henry retired to his privy chamber to change into a gown of tissue lined with embroidered crimson velvet, while Anna accompanied her ladies to her chamber. Henry let it be known that "I will never have any more children for the comfort of the realm." Soon enough, the entire court was chuckling behind closed doors at the absurdity of the royal match. Luckily, the new queen couldn't speak much English and was unaware that she was being made fun of. Anna of Cleves deserves credit for gracefully adjusting to her new role. Many admired her courage, common sense, and dignified demeanour. Even the common folk were impressed by what they observed and heard about her. And that's where I'm going to leave today's episode. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like and subscribe, and if you really liked it, why not leave a super thanks? In the next episode, we'll be looking at Anna's short tenure as queen. But until then, have a wonderful day.